Okay. We just want to thank everybody for giving us the opportunity to share kind of some of the technology we've been trying on our place here the last couple of years. Go ahead.
Sorry.
Yeah. Do you mind if this is too short for me,
Sure.
dear?
I was just thinking about moving up there.
Sure. So this is our family here. CJ Ranching, we're located 8 hours that direction, I guess, up by Lloydminster. I feel pretty fortunate. I'm living on the place my grandfather homesteaded. Is this any better? Yeah. I'll try to learn as I go here. So I feel pretty fortunate to live on. Is that any better, or am I still cutting out?
Don't move around.
Don't move around. So I live on my grandfather's homestead, so that's pretty important to me. This is my family, my wife, obviously, my son, who ride the local community pasture, and my daughter's in grade 12, we're about to be empty nesters, so my wife and I are trying to figure that out as we go. So we're cow-calf long yearling operation. We calve on grass. Holistic management is a big deal to us. We're moving our cattle every day. Our yearlings move multiple times a day depending on what we're trying to do on our pastures. And we're trying hard to mimic nature as much as we can. Maybe you better take that thing. Is this me? Yeah. So we're 400 plus cows, our cow-calf group. We're 4,200 acres of owned and rented land, plus 7,500 acre forestry lease. So our trial was over 2 years. The partners in the trial were Ministry of Ag, Saskatchewan Stock Growers, Canadian CFGA had some money in it, Vents donated a base station, and we bought a base station. Our why. So why would we want to deal with this new technology that's new and be such a pain in the butt? Well, part of our holistic goal is we want to be lifelong learners. Our people, our land, and our finances are very important to us. The decisions we make, we have them triple bottom line in order, so that's how we're making our decisions. So fencing in the bush is not easy. It is way better on our relationships to be able to plunk it on the computer, and there's way less domestics that way. For our land, we're trying to get better utilization of our forestry lease especially. So we feel it's better for our soil health if we're able to push our cattle around, give that land time to recover and not just camp on the same spots. So that's important. And as for the finances part, why not take advantage of new technology when most of the money is paid by somebody else? This is technology that we've been interested in for quite a while. So why not to try it before you have to put all the money out? One thing I just wanted to say on that back, it's healthy land. Sorry, healthy land equals healthy animals, which is healthy people. So that's kind of how we try to live our life. If we have healthy soil and we produce healthy animals that are on that land and we feed ourselves and our family with the animals that are on that land, we feel that's as healthy as we can be.
Okay, so year one, we collared 407 cows. I want to try and play this as I'm talking here. It took us 2 days to collar everybody. Most of the cows come out kicking and bucking, but they did calm down within seconds. So it just took a little bit of time to do it. Sorry, now I'm cutting out. Yeah, I think it took us 2 days because we watched everybody come out bucking. That year two, it only took us 1 day, but most of the cows, they just came out calm. It was the heifers maybe mostly that bucked. So yeah, year two, we were at 391 cows. There we go. Bulls, really tough to keep on. Whoa, go back. There should be a video there. I'm not quite sure why it's not playing, but yeah, I'm not going to play around with it anyway. So bulls are really tough to keep on. Our first year, like just 2 out of the 15 bulls kept collars on in the grazing season, just with their neck where it is. It's really tough to keep them on. Although new collars out that they're having bull success. So we're excited for those. You talked about.
Okay, so this is some of the technology in here. These are the base stations. We have 3 of the base stations. We learned early on last year, just because of our context and our thick bush, we had to put them on trailers to move them around close to cattle. If they were too far away, we were having some communication issues. So yeah, it was pretty easy to, fairly hillbilly deluxe here, but it works just fine really, to put them on these little trailers and move it around. The base station is just basically the middleman from the collar to the GPS. So if there's any communications or changes on the computer, it's kind of part of the feedback loop here.
Events has a very strict protocol on training. So training just takes 4 days. They set up all our virtual fencing for our training, so it was very easy on me. I didn't have to worry about how I was setting up virtual fencing for training. So you run it at first on your day 1 on a hard perimeter fence. Day 2, you just move it in. Day 3, you move it in a little farther. And then day 4, you kind of do another virtual fence right in the middle of your paddock. So then they like to look back at the grazing data. So we are paired up with a rancher success person, and she holds our hand all the way through. So she looked back at this grazing data. She was seeing hard white lines every time those fences moved in. She's like, you are good to go. You're on your own, have fun. So that was our training. So then of course, once the cows are, all collared up, all out there training, I'm not doing anything else but out there videoing cows getting shocked. Oh, and I guess everything's playing at once here, so you can see cows getting shocked and just moving back off there. There's some heifer, she moved forward, but she'll learn to come back. Everybody else is moving back. So they're getting that shock, they're learning what happens. When they do get close to a virtual fence, an audio goes off first. So there will be a beeping sound, and then if they keep going, then they'll get the shock. So the whole training process is just them learning what happens after that audio, then the shock comes. Oh, so then now this one, please. Yeah. It took her a while to learn, actually. She kept getting it, but everybody did really well with the training. I think she even gets a few more shots here. Okay, so this was our first move. So you'll see with the blue, we moved on to that paddock. So the blue skinny line is our perimeter fence. I just wanted to use this paddock as basically an alleyway to move into the quarter up in the corner there. On the very bottom of the page is where we were feeding our yearlings still, so I thought they would be a big pull for as we're moving our cow herd through. So we're full on calving. This is the beginning of May. And I thought, well, it took me literally 30 seconds to build that wet fence. Why not do a backup, right? Because it's just that easy to do. So as you can see, there's a couple girls who were not behaving, but the majority of the herd was where they were supposed to be. Those girls who were misbehaving, they anytime they went back for water, they had the opportunity to learn again. They can go back through those virtual fences and get absolutely no shock at all. So once they've made their mistake and went through, then they get a free pass back.
You better hurry up, boss.
Yeah, I'm going. So then just had our son was involved with it a little bit, trying to get him, so he did some drone action for us, but you can really see that where the cows are on one side, you can see where they're not. The virtual fence was right down the middle, and you can see our yearlings on the far side that didn't draw anybody hardly back that way, so that was good. This you'll see as they move in, they just shifted. So this, it's tough to see because I'm a terrible videoer. But they come in and they hit the virtual fence and they just shifted. So to me, there was no shocks there. It must have been just the audio, and then they go in. I was really worried about this because you know how when you let cows into new grass, they usually rush. So then I'm like, okay, what's going to happen here? But they just came in and moved. So this was really exciting. So this was this year. We wanted to try a sort. The pink was our heifers. We were calving them in a different paddock. The purple was our breds. And I had programmed in and set up our opens from our preg check. So we had done a preg check. We don't wean till later, so those opens are not going to get sold until, I think we sold them in July maybe. So I was managing 3 herds at one time. I had different fences applying to different animals, different groups. So the pink herd, we wanted to amalgamate the heifers into the main herd group. They were just about done calving, so we gave them access to work their way in. And we were, I wish I could go up there. We were working our way across the paddock that way, or it's one quarter. So I had, the heifers, the open and the main herd. I had some exclusion fencing up there. There were some wet spots that they didn't need to be in. That's not where they were watering. So I made a couple exclusion zones so they stayed out of there. I didn't know if it was muddy. They didn't need to be in there. And I could easily manage 3 herds with just the stroke of a key. It was really cool. So here we're going to try and sort. We want to sell those opens. We were really dry. Let's manage grass. Let's sort those opens out, and let's get them to town. Sorry. So to me, this was the lowest stress sort we could do. We weren't even there. So this was a water spot here. So everybody was in that other quarter that was just on the last screen. They had to come to this other quarter to water. So the red ones, we wanted to go that way. The purple ones had to go back to where they were grazing before. So this fence here applied to those reds. She came in for water. She couldn't go back that way. She had to go that way to new grass. The purple guys, they got stopped here. They had to go back to where they were grazing before. And so then the purple and the pink are now one herd, because those are all our pregnant mamas who had babies. The reds, we wanted to work our way to new grass somewhere else. So we could manage we could manage all 3 groups on that one water system. You want to comment anything on the sort?
No, I guess in this though, I would say patience was the biggest thing. Like we weren't there, we just would monitor on the computer, we'd go out and ride and just make sure everything looked okay. It took about a week, but it was about 95% success rate for us to get that. So we were pretty happy with that. And that was just a matter of us, mostly me, showing some patience and not riding in there to sort. It was just let the technology do its work. It took us a little bit to fine tuning with the tech and animal behavior to make sure that we had them set up big enough so that they had time to think and move, because if they rush it, they're just going to go through.
At first we had everything way too tight, and it wasn't working, so we just had to kind of relook at things, give them a little bit more space in here, and this looks like a mess. It really does. But it's just so once these red ones get this way, they can't come back. So we did have a water wagon over here. Eventually, so when these red ones got over here, they had water, they had new grass, they didn't have to come back. And then, so there's some stopping them this way. We had extra stuff stopping the purple ones from going this way. But we still needed our eyes, because we went out there was, I think, a heifer who didn't have a collar that we had to actually sort off. And then there was 2 pair that were in the right group. They were in the open group, but they weren't open. So we had to do some changing on that side. But yeah, we were really happy with how that sort worked. So it works. We did a lot of stuff on really big, big acres, big paddocks. But we are, we're very intensive grazers. We wanted to see how tight can we get this to work. Because we're putting up, 400 animals on a 10-acre spot, moving them every day or something like this. So could this technology do that? So we had each one of these paddocks with about 10 acres per move. And this is in, I think, that one paddock there. So the red girl's just coming in.
can't really hear it, but it did just audio the caller. So that's what you're looking for, is just the audio is supposed to turn them around. If they're trained right, they don't get a shock. It's the audio that turns them.
Okay, so then the biggest draw for us was our forest release. So then after all of our open stuff, which we have quite fenced, we went into the forest release. This is just a little drone footage to show you what that looks like.
Yeah, it's just a little bit of a different context than we see down here, I guess, but this is our context of bush and bog and hills and wolves and bears and all of the nasty. So building fence in that is just not difficult.
I thought it was really neat too that I could easily see where the cows were. There's not many cut lines when I go to check cows at the forest release, so at least I knew where to head. We have lots of access to lots of grazing data, so great stuff is where they hang out, where they graze. We did learn that we had no data in this spot at all this year, so we moved the base station this year because it was so easy. We put another one out there, so we got grazing data where we were lacking last year.
That was just a communication issue. That was, just couldn't read.
I thought this was really interesting too. So this girl here, she came into the forest release. She lived on this south fence. In these things, it either shows you a lightning bolt or an audio. She had hundreds of events. Hundreds. She was out all the time. She was the biggest pain in the ass.
She loved the pain. I think she loved the pain.
This is Cow Edler. Her name is Josie. She had one audio event right here, then she just lived her best life. So obviously she would have some more draw on her battery than Josie would. We dealt with her and she spent some time on her own. Okay, so a new thing that Vence has out is an app. I think there's about 8 ranchers in their network that has access to the app. We're doing some testing for them. They have been amazing on the feedback. They want to know how we want to use the app, what we want to see. They're just so excited to hear our response to it. So I'm always checking the cows, always. So we were pulling everybody out of the forest. I was watching Rosie, my daughter's cow. We don't name everybody, and she was hanging out on that south fence. I think over 3 miles from where everybody else was. We had pulled out, and we got a little skip of snow. In, I think, 4 hours, she trucked to the forest boundary, and then there she is up there in green. She trucked back to the gate where they were. So saved me time, because it would have taken us hours probably to push her through the forest to bring her home. I watched her come home on the computer, or on my phone actually. So a huge time saver there.
This was an interesting thing we found last spring. So we had a heifer that had lost the collar. Of course, you can find it. It's GPS, so you just go find the thing. We were riding by. Well, we roped her and we put it there. Deanne put the collar down. We roped her, put her down, and Deanne went over, grabbed the collar. Now she's walking back to this heifer. It starts to beep. So it's just like, oh, okay, well, that's a learning opportunity. I guess we better figure out where our GPS or our line is before we bring a cow down. So we just put it down right there where the line was. We stood the heifer up, moved her over, dropped her again, and put the collar back on. So that was an interesting little learning opportunity for us. Go ahead.
Yeah, collar retention would be one of our biggest challenges. So last year, 7% of cows lost their collars. Year 2, we significantly did better on that. So Vence said you should be at like 2 to 3%. So we're like, okay, well, we'll do better this year. John can speak to how we did better.
Yeah, I think the first year mostly was probably operator error on my part. You don't know. They kind of tell you how tight they're going to be. You're scared they're going to be too tight. You're going to choke cattle. So probably I had them too loose, and getting more experience, I made them tighter, and I don't think that at 2%, this is technology that'll work. If we lose 2% every year, it still will be able to move the cattle around. So I don't think that's going to be an issue going forward.
The other big I guess, challenge we have is battery life. So last year we had 29 run critical battery. This year we decided we were going to manage the collars a little bit differently. We weren't going to use the technology as much on our open ground because we are extremely set up with lots of cross fencing. So we were going to just target on getting more utilization in the fourth. So we brought that down to 17 critical batteries. And then we've had the same amount-ish of aired out collars. So that's, say they're drinking at a water trough and that collar dips in there. I just noticed when I changed batteries last winter, there was some corrosion on some connections and those those collars just didn't work. So I think there's some